All right, let's try this again. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order of the MPO Policy Board for the Area Plan Commission of Tippecanoe County for November the 14th, 2024 at 2 o'clock p.m. And the first item is a roll call to confirm the quorum. Mayor Easter.
Here.
Tom Murtaugh.
Present.
Gary Schroeder.
Here.
Steve Snyder.
Present.
Larry Leverance.
Here.
Julie Ginn.
Here.
It looks like that's everybody that's on my sheet. Have I missed anyone? All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Those have been communicated to you in your packets, and I would entertain a motion for approval.
Move to Murtaugh.
Do I have a second? I have a second from Larry Leverance. Is there any further discussion, changes, or Scribner's errors? Hearing none, I'll conduct a roll call vote on the approval of the minutes. Aaron Easter.
Aye.
Tom Murtaugh.
Aye.
Gary Schroeder.
Aye.
Steve Snyder.
Aye.
Larry Leverance.
Aye.
Julie Ginn.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Thank you, everyone. The next item on the agenda is the APC progress report and our MPO update. And I know Doug is not with us today, so Tim will be handling all of these. So Tim, I'm just going to turn it over to you. And as you finish one, ask for questions and then just go on to the next one.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Mayor. So our first item we wanted to update you about is a news item about NDOT Transit Division and their STIP amendment process. So historically, they have done a STIP amendment every month. So what that means is when you guys, as our policy board, take an official action to do the TIP amendment, then it has to be amended into the STIP on the state side before it can become totally official, right? And when that was every month, that was a fairly easy process, but they have moved that to only doing quarterly amendments. So that really narrows the window in which we can get transit amendments specifically processed. So I know that that's been a bit of a concern for City Bus, and they're here with us. So I thought maybe I might turn the floor over to them to give them a chance to explain some of the issues from their perspective.
Certainly. So one of the advantages of having a monthly STIP amendment process is that, there's now been a couple of times that we've been able to accept money flexed over from other funds that we weren't able, that the MPO as a organization wasn't able to spend through the cities or the county, and we have the ability to spend it on various projects. We have the bus shelters that we just had the ribbon cutting for was flex funds over. We're working now with Doug and Tim and Ryan on a crosswalk up on Sagamore Parkway. Again, being able to flex funds over, and that keeps it from that money from lapsing and not being available at all for our community. But with a switch to quarterly, that's going to be a lot more difficult. And also this, to the best of my knowledge, and Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, this change was basically noticed to us after the fact. We submitted a tip request change and it came in, or we got the pushback after we had submitted it per the normal process. So I will be reaching out to NDOT's Office of Transit and asking them to reconsider that schedule. or possibly, particularly for lapsing funds and things like that, to see if they would make exceptions. But it seemed strange, frankly, that it happened, and also with no notice, at least not that I'm aware of. None that I'm aware of.
Yes, thank you, Brian. So that change also did kind of catch us by surprise as well. So if there was an official notification that was sent out, it didn't come through the regular channels that we would have anticipated it to come through. So it definitely did catch us by surprise. I did have a good conversation with one of the other MPO directors last month at our annual MPO conference. And what he told me is that they have had some success with getting what they would call an emergency STIP amendment processed for transit. The thing is, though, that there's not necessarily maybe a guarantee that that could get processed if it's outside of that quarterly STIP amendment schedule. So far, from my understanding, it's worked for the other MPOs, but it's a little bit tentative to kind of try to count on that, I guess. So I'm a little hesitant to say, well, it's worked in the past. If there's, no formal window that they're going to accept amendments in, are we just going to rely on the fact that, well, they've allowed us to do emergency ones before, they'll always allow us to do an emergency one every time we need it, or what? We don't quite know. But that is kind of the situation. So there is some hope it's not all totally bad news from our perspective. But like Brian said, the real time when this matters a lot is when we're up against funding deadlines, when funds might expire. And we'd really hate to, lose the ability to obligate some funds because of a procedural thing like this, when otherwise we've done everything we can. So that's the real big concern, I think. Anyway, we wanted to let everyone know what was going on. We want to, of course, be transparent about the process. I hope we'll never have to tell you, well, we lost some money because of this change, but it is a change that happened, so we felt like we should let you know. And again, like Brian said, we are hoping to kind of get it changed or get maybe at least a formal process, maybe like a couple times a year for a special one when we're up against some of these funding deadlines, or just something that's a little more than well, we've done emergency amendments in the past, we can do another one now. So that's kind of what we're hoping for. Any other questions?
Tim, did they give you any reason why they did make this change? I mean, is it hard for them to get people together, or was there any? I know you didn't get the formal notice, and I don't know that any of us did, but I mean, have you heard of any explanation what the reasoning is?
That's a very good question, Mayor. My understanding is that the primary reason is that they're having some challenges with keeping fully staffed. And therefore, there's just more work for the transit division of NDOT to do than they have staff members to do it all. So I think that's the primary challenge with this. We might hope that there would be a way where they could kind of split the labor with some other parts of NDOT, because again, this is a federally required document and a federally required process. So that's kind of our perspective on it, is that we'd like to just see something a little more formal.
All right. Well, thank you for the update, and let our board here know if there's anything we can do to be helpful.
Appreciate that. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on this, and as more updates become available, we'll keep you guys as well as our technical committee in the loop. Okay, so I think that probably wraps up the discussion for that item. So that moves us on to our next item, which is our annual listing of projects. So this is a federally required document that we publish every year that I'm displaying on the screen right now. And it has a lot of really good information in it. So just kind of quickly going through the table of contents, you can see that it has information about state-initiated projects, which are NDOT's projects that are initiated by local government entities, so of course our cities, county, et cetera, as well as some information about how transit funds are being spent. And there is more detailed information about each project, as well as some really nice photographs that Doug Pode from our staff took. So there's a lot of really good information in this. It has been posted on our website and is available for viewing there. Additionally, if anyone would like a hard copy, we can print one of those for you. Just let us know and we'll get that to you if you want one, for your office or whatever. We're happy to do that. Just again, let us know. Other than that, I think, this is a document we've been publishing for many years. It's federally required. So I think you're all probably pretty familiar with it. But if there are any questions, I'd open the floor at this time for those. Okay, I'm going to take it to mean that there are no questions, which is fine. So then we'll move on to our next item, which is our federal funding obligation status report. And there isn't really anything that's out of the ordinary for this. We are pretty early still in fiscal year 25. So you will see a lot of zeros in the INDOT report column, especially. We have plans to spend all these funds down, and we believe that we are going to be able to do that throughout this fiscal year. However, that just hasn't quite happened yet. Many of these projects haven't even let, so I can't spend them down quite yet, but it is something we are keeping an eye on. We did spend down all of our 24 federal funds, so we are just working with 25 federal funds now. So that's good. And like I said, not too much news this month, but if there are any questions, I'd be happy to take those at this time. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is INDOT's 18-month letting list. So there is one bid letting to report, State Road 26 at McCarty Lane, a new traffic signal being installed there. The project was awarded to James H. Drew Corporation, and the amount, as you can see, came in just a little bit below the engineer's estimate. And they are expecting that to be completed on May 2nd of 2025. Other than that, if we go back then to the list itself, there isn't too much to report. You see a lot of S's in this column here, which means that things have stayed on the same schedule that they were on last month. We do have this one project that used to be listed that hasn't been listed for a while. It is this institution and park road maintenance at the Indiana Veterans Home, which is essentially a trail they wanted to construct there. And I know from talking to INDOT that got pulled out because it was going to come in at a higher cost than was initially expected. So they're trying to rework that to make the numbers match what's available, I guess. But other than that, not too much going on. We are expecting some movement on the State Road 225 project this month, as well as Morehouse Road Phase 2 should be starting this month. Bridge 527 is on track to start this month, as well as a couple bridge thin deck overlays on US 52. So a lot of work should be starting this month. So we'll have to keep an eye on the bid letting results for that. You can see that today is the letting date for all those. So we don't quite have some information on those yet, but we will be keeping an eye out on those and look for some more information at next month's meeting. Any questions about the 18-month letting list?
All right. So I'm not hearing no questions. Thank you, Tim, for those updates. Is there any other business to come before the board today? Hearing none, let's go to citizen public comments. If you could check and then give us the 1 minute countdown, please.
I'm not seeing anything about any comments. Aria, have you seen anything come in on Facebook or YouTube?
Yeah, there's been no public comment on Facebook or YouTube at this time. Sorry.
Okay, so then we can go ahead and start the 1-minute timer.
Yep, we're tracking.
Okay, and while we're waiting for this 1 minute, I would just point out that our next meeting of this committee is scheduled for December 12th. It will, as usual, be 2 o'clock virtual meeting, so exactly the same format.
Okay, it has been about 1 minute and we still have no public comment on Facebook or YouTube at this time.
All right. Well, thank you. We're going to give everybody some time back in their day today, which I'm sure will be helpful. So I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second, Steve Snyder.
Steve, we have a motion and a second for adjournment. Mayor Easter.
Aye.
Tom Murtaugh.
Aye.
Gary Schroeder.
Aye.
Steve Snyder.
Aye.
Larry Leverance.
Aye.
Julie Ginn.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. We're adjourned.